Okey-dokey. Here we go. I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Carrabelle Community Redevelopment Agency. It's Tuesday, June 20th, 2017, 1:30 p.m. and we're at Carrabelle City Hall. And I'd like to ask Commissioner Allen to please say the invocation and then we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our God and Father in heaven, we're thankful that we have this opportunity to come together to deal with the things that pertain to this wonderful city of ours. We ask you to be with us in our judgment, that we might be wise and understanding and patient, and might do what would be ultimately the best thing for all citizens. We ask you also at this time to be with our country, the throes of rebellion and conflict. We hope that somewhere these things can come to pass, that we can all work together in unity for the peace of everyone concerned. We also ask for those that have been wounded and injured in various assaults. Be with those and ones that have their care and their needs. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, here we go. We have roll call. We have Mr. Ross Powers, Commissioner Cal Allen, Mayor Paz, Mr. Bo May, and Commissioner Keith Walden. Our attorney is soon to be here, I hope, and then we have staff. I'd like to call for a motion regarding the May 16th minutes. Do you all have a chance to review those minutes?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion regarding that?
I move to approve.
All right. So we have a motion to approve the May 16th minutes. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. May. A motion by Commissioner Allen, second by Mr. May. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to staff reports. And then Courtney, the CRA Director.
Number one, report on the research regarding the ownership of the small brick building on Marine Street. That's still ongoing. Ms. Murray, who has the Belle house, has ordered a survey of her property, which will show us if that sits on her property or on the other property, or we're in between. And she's still waiting on that survey to be done, but it has been ordered, and she keeps calling them every week. And with the rain, it's a little behind. The outstanding CRA Façade projects is still Mr. Rayer's project. We're still waiting on Three Rivers land clearing to put some landscaping timbers in there. I have talked to them, and they're working on that. The report on the PDA device for the clock tower, I don't have an update on that. I haven't spoken to Mr. Weiss.
I've got an email.
Keisha got an email.
They received the payment and they are just in production from what the email said.
Okay. We did sign a check that paid half of it up front, so.
Yes.
Okay. Does anyone have questions for Ms. Courtney or Ms. Keisha?
Is that road, the road where the little building is that just going to be abandoned by the city? Is that the...
It's already been abandoned.
It's
It
been
was
abandoned.
abandoned years ago.
Abandoned years ago. So does the city still own the property?
No.
Doesn't own
Once
it.
the road is abandoned, half of the property goes to one property owner and the other half goes to the other.
So it's just a matter of deciding.
It's just a matter of deciding if it's all on Ms. Murray's property or if it's all on the other property or if it sits in the middle.
Any other questions? Okay, then I have a question pertaining to the city attorney. He has a report for us. I know that he does. And have you all heard from him?
I talked to him way earlier and he was on his way. He was in Medard. And that was at 12.
I can tell you the weather was really bad. Very bad.
All right.
Well, he was having lunch with the chief of police, so he's
Okay, well, we'll can we move this item because we want him to report, it's of interest to all of us. So we'll move that see where we might put that. During our CRA projects, we'll put that right there during our, at the beginning of our CRA projects. Is that all right? Do we need we have a motion to move the attorney's report to the CRA projects?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Powers and a second by Mr. May to move to the CRA reports, first time the CRA reports. Is there any discussion on that? Oh, how about the discussion, we don't need to move to the CRA reports?
I'm going to rescind that motion.
What, would you like to rescind that
I'll
motion?
rescind my motion.
Okay.
I second.
All right. Any discussion? All approve? Yeah, all right. Carries. Okay, then, Mr. Hartman, are you ready for your report then?
I am.
Okay.
My report,
Yes, it's important. We want to give him a second to regroup here. I'll take a drink of water.
got the information right here.
And it's good information, yes.
In the paper at the last Stafford's Call Times showed a tax deed sale is going to occur on the Sonala property that we've done. I prepared, or I had ordered that title search on, and we've discussed it a number of times here at the CRA board. And in the past, what we've discussed is what it would cost to clear that site up. And we were concerned about, when we clear the site, being able to recover the money that we spent in clearing it. And I had explained, based on the title report, all the folks that would be ahead of us as far as liens and that sort of thing on the property. Banks, the IRS, and the bankruptcy trustee. The tax deed process, there's some uncertainty in it, but at the same time, that sale is set to occur on August 7th, 2017. The folks who hold the tax certificates have now applied for the tax deed. And I would say there's a very high probability that that property will pass then into private hands on August 7th, coming up at the sale. So the CRA, something we've talked about in the past, is whether or not the CRA would want to bid on the property as well and attempt to purchase the property. The amounts, I talked to the tax the tax office at the county, and there's two parcels, one ending in number 20, the other ending in 30, and the amount owed on parcel 20 is $26,345.46. The amount on parcel 30 is $24,727.47. And I believe 20 is the one with the building on it, and then there's some vacant land, and it basically runs from one end of that kind of parallel pier that's out there, from one end to the other. If you just drew a line to the uplands, it's about half and half, because there's two pieces of property there, both owned by Dr. Sonala. And this tax deed sale, though, when it occurs, the certificate holders have now paid that amount of money, which is about $51,000, and typically the bidding would start there and go up from about $51,000 up. And of course, it's open to the public, and essentially anybody can bid on it. And I talked to Mayor La Paz about that and wanted to bring this to the CRA board's attention to see if and discuss whether or not the CRA board had any interest in attempting to own the property, bid on the property.
You have a range then of what the bid would be, just
We know that this is the thing, and I'm not an expert on these, but I've never seen one sell for less than the amount of taxes owed. And when I say that, when you apply for a tax deed, which the certificate holders have done, they had to pay, they had to write a check for any outstanding taxes on the property. So they already have $51,000 in it. So that's literally their opening bid. So you would have to bid more than that to even start the bidding process going up.
And Dan, what happens if there's no bids?
Then the person who applied for the tax deed will it'll be issued to the, I call it their certificate holder, but you need to be a certificate holder to apply for the tax deed, which has now been done. And that person who applied for the tax deed will be the owner if there's no bids above basically $51,000.
I discussed this with staff. The certificate holder has been in to see the clerk, to see what can be done with the property. So can the clerk report on those discussions or no?
Yes.
They was just wondering, you know, they wanted to know what they could do, of course, with the FEMA laws and with our setbacks. And just said that they were interested in basically putting some sort of business in there.
Did they mention whether or not they might demo the property, or they plan on improving it, you say, if they get their hands on it?
I think their intentions are to keep the building and renovate it, if that's possible. Turn it into some kind of, basically what we just want to do, marina with ice and boat slips, commercial dockage, and it's, the Saunders is who owns it, or who
It has the tax certificate on it now. If the CRA board is interested in bidding on it, we would have to find some money, because further on here, you receive the bids on the Marine Street. It's 57.5% over budget on the parking lot. We're going to have to find money for that. So I know this is something a lot of folks have wanted. I've discussed it with staff. They would, seems like they would prefer if a private business had it. A private business then would still be paying taxes on it if they're going to develop something along the lines that the CRA board or the city commission had in mind. It might be better to let a private enterprise handle that project and continue to pay taxes on it. It would be a big project for us to manage, or staff to manage. And of course, we have to locate money, not only to bid on it, but to do the project.
Becomes private property and they apply for a facade grant.
They can apply for a facade grant. Yes, they can.
Would we still have the option to condemn the property if they don't do something with it?
Don't ask the attorney there.
Did you hear
the
that?
building's already
Yeah,
condemned.
the building's condemned, and the reason, you know, we've wrestled with this for a year or so, is if our concern was we were going to actually budget and spend money to clean the site up because it's blight right now, and the concern was that we would never be able to recover that money because of the complicated title issues on the property. And just as Mayor La Paz is saying, you know, that will be solved after this tax deed sale to a large extent, meaning we're going to have a clear owner of that property with an interest in that property, that if we need to do code enforcement against. We'll now have, you know, it won't be a bankruptcy trustee, it won't be the IRS, it won't be someone who declared bankruptcy. It's going to be a real person, and certainly after a little grace period, we can make sure they do clean and secure the site up and make it safe.
Okay, then that prompted, I have a question. Tisha, did you have something?
I was curious who would be responsible for the other liens.
The other
Um,
liens, we want to know that. How would that work?
All of the lien holders that are identified, that I would think that I identified in the title work, have also gotten, they get written notice of this sale. So they're given an opportunity to come in and redeem the property. So the bank, for instance, that's loaned $800, $1 million on this, you know, we're kind of not considering them, but I mean, obviously they may wake up after they get that letter, show up to this auction and say, hey, we'll bid something here to protect our interest in this property. The IRS could do that, the bankruptcy court could do that, as well as any of the banks that have a lien on this property. So there's, in my conversation with the tax office, they didn't talk about how many or anything, but there's other people that have been calling on this property. Does that answer your question?
Any more questions? Any questions from the public regarding this? Okay.
Just to reiterate, my concern would be that we could still do something with the blight aspects of the property.
If someone buys that property, and then, I mean, again, from a lawyer perspective, I've done these before, someone gets a tax deed, they need to then do a quiet title action, which could take 6 months. But when it's fully vested in a new owner, and if that new owner doesn't fix the blight situation, then the city could, or the city or CRA could code enforce it, they could clean it up and put a lien on it, and all of a sudden now we have a lien on a piece of property that with a clear owner
We
of that
have
property.
right.
Like that. And we would be number one, definitely. I mean, depending on if they have a loan or anything else, but all those prior loans, all the problems that we've discussed before, the tax deed does have super priority, and it's about to wipe those clean on August 7th. And I say this, that's the way a tax deed works. And then typically though, you as an owner, if you hold a tax deed to make sure it's insurable title, you will still go through a circuit court quiet title action after that, just to make sure that all these banks, bankruptcy, IRS, everybody's fully put to bed. But so there's some. It'll be 90% resolved on August 7th, not 100%.
So the quiet title action takes approximately 6 months.
I would think so. And when I say that, does everybody do one? No. If, for instance, the Saunders have plans to redevelop the site, not necessarily to resell it or anything, if they're not borrowing money against it or anything else, hey, you can rely on tax deed and just march into the future. But if you want to ever get title insurance on it, most of the time they ask you, or they require a quiet title action on it. Because the tax deed is good, and when I say all this too, there's a statutory provision on tax deeds. I think, I can look it up, but after a certain period of time, it's almost self-curing, meaning after like 4 years or 7 years or something like that, of holding a tax deed, it's as good as a warranty deed. Right? Vests fully, nobody can come back and claim. Usually the way you challenge them is they claim someone who had an interest didn't get notice, the procedure for the tax deed sale was defective somehow, is the only way to challenge a tax deed.
I'd prefer a private owner, an entrepreneur. But I would not like an entrepreneur that just buys the real estate and sits on it sits on it. We have several of those. We don't need another one of those. To have the option to push that envelope with the property. That's where I am.
So you can only push it so far. If it's condemned, then it's condemned. You can't really.
We could clean it up.
Yeah.
We could have the black part with the.
Necessary.
Yes. But to let someone buy it and just say, well, I bought it, now I'm going to sit on it for my kids until something else happens. I don't know. We don't want to own it.
All
I
right.
don't want
All right, Ms. Tamara?
I was just wondering if Keisha would answer that question that they ask you, is it buildable, and are they gonna be required to only build, use 10% of the value like the other people? Because it's out over the border, does it get a different deal?
50%.
If the building is below base flood, which chances are it is, then they would be limited to 50% of the building's value. But because it is commercial, it can be mitigated, engineered flood openings, and so forth, to be able to go over the 50%.
And then can they build out over the dock, because those docks are grandfathered?
That is not up to us.
Okay.
That would be up to the Army Corps of Engineers and DEP. If they okay it, the city goes with them.
All right, we need to move on now. Is there any more discussion, any more questions, any direction on this item from the board here?
And I think what we had talked about is the direction from the board would be if the board is interested in participating in that tax deed sale, then we want to designate either staff, someone on staff probably, to attend and bid, and then if that's the case, up to what number? And that's
Private ownership, landlord is the best.
Okay, so we have one. How do you feel about that?
Private ownership.
Okay. Anyone else?
Private owners.
All right. You feel that way, Mr. May?
Absolutely. I just want to be able to push them along. If they just sit on it.
I certainly feel that way myself.
Our business is blind.
Like removal, but we want to encourage private ownership and entrepreneurship. That's what we're all about.
And this, the buyer makes it easier for us to actually do that. So
Okay.
that's a good
All
thing.
right. Maybe our board has encouraged the person to look into that property. So that's a good thing y'all are doing. All right, then, we'll move on forward. So there's no direction, Mr. Hartman.
All right.
Okay. All right, okay.
Thank you, Dan.
Interesting conversation, and interesting for the public if they need to refer to the video. All right, public comment. Public comment from anyone? You have public comment?
Is that where, oh no, I'm new business, sorry.
Yes, you are new business. And we're going to new business now. Item 1, proposal from Ms. Martha Murray regarding signage for Belle, and no action is going to be taken on this one. We're just going to talk. And if you use the microphone, please. Thank you so much.
Okay, first thing I'm going to, okay, now, all right. First thing I'm going to say is I I'm no artist, as you will see with what's coming down the table right now. This is a little sketch. I just, what I wanted to ask about, and Courtney's been really helpful. I am at the point with my business that I'm ready to get a sign made, and as the more I look at where to put a sign there, the more I'm sort of like, oh gosh, to get any kind of visibility. As we know, the house is hard to see from the street, and there's the issue of erosion if we take too much vegetation down. And to me, the ideal, if possible, the ideal place would be with a view from the corner of Southeast Avenue C and Main Street on the gentle slope going up to the property. The problem is all of that is owned by the city. And when I talked to Courtney about just what the codes were and, you know, just what the deals are on signage here, this is all very new to me as a business owner, and certainly to Franklin County and the city of Carrabelle. Courtney sent me the link for the code, and I reviewed it, and it's clear that there's no provision for placing signage on city property. But I'm wondering if there's any way that this body or the city, the commissioner, or whomever would be the right governing body would be able to make an exception to that rule. And either way, I need to move forward with getting some signage made. And if I put signage directly in front of the house on our own property, facing Marine, for those, I think everybody here is real familiar with where this all sits. It's very steep. If you're standing on Marine Street, it's very steep up to the house, and then it levels out, and you can be standing on the street or the sidewalk, and it's right here in your face. So for me, as far as putting a sign there, I think it would have to be a sign that, and I've tried to depict that in my little scribble here, a two-sided, not two-sided as in perpendicular to Marine, but sort of at a V shape, so that one could see it driving or walking from either direction on Marine, if you were walking or driving on Marine. I think the only thing that would be very readily visible if I did a flat sign, a one-sided sign, in that location or somewhere on that hillside, would be if you were on a boat. Then you could see it real well. But I think it would be hard to see it if you were driving down the street, unless you happen to just look left right at the right time. The other place I've considered putting a sign, and probably will have a secondary sign regardless, is at the bottom of the driveway on Southeast Avenue C. Because it's amazing how many people can't find this house already. They're parked right in front, and they're like, my GPS says I'm here, and I'm like, well, you are, you just can't see the house. So I would put signage there. Right now, I just have one of those flag kind of things to help give it some definition. But I still think, ideally, I would be able to put a sign up on the hill on the city property. So that's what I put before you, and I know there's not action that can be taken today, but if this is something for this body or for the commission, if it could be put on whatever agenda for a decision, or if it's just that there's no way to do it, that's cool too. I just need to proceed with my plans for signage so that I can get that next step going. Any questions?
Is your own Marine Street the 15, 20 feet of dead foliage?
I didn't do that, just for the record. We did not kill that foliage. It's a Duke Energy thing. Yeah, we did not. I was horrified. Yeah.
What it is.
Yeah, the Duke Energy came through and sprayed through there.
Is it lines above it?
Yep. Yep, we were pretty shocked to see that.
And will they clean it up now, or is that
I
what
don't
they're
know.
gonna do?
I don't know that there's anything to be cleaned up. They could cut down what's brown, but
They could prank grass or something.
well, I mean, frankly, I'd rather see what didn't get completely killed of the bigger stuff. I'm afraid if I requested them to come in and cut it down, that we could. It's very steep and eroding there.
I wouldn't ask them to do that.
I'm inclined to leave it and see what green comes back. and then clear away what didn't get totally, leave what survived, and then cut away the totally dead stuff. But I'm inclined to let some time pass before we do anything there. I know it's ugly, but I was horrified. I turned that corner, I was like,
Didn't seem like you.
no, and I almost wanted to,
Okay, let's move
notes
forward
now.
to the sign.
Yeah.
And we know that Duke Energy is spread from here to Leon County under every power line. It's all horrifying. I think that this signage question, Mr. Hartman, I think that this signage question would be for you. I'm not sure this board can do a special exception or something, sign.
Exactly, and Keisha is, these are all things that are less exempt. What I'll do is, and this is all, I was, number one, I think city commission. So I think this is a city commission issue that we can revisit this at the city commission level, because the city commission is going to be the one to interpret and apply the sign ordinance, not the CRA board. Number two, we have a pretty extensive sign ordinance, and I know what we're explaining here is the one at the end of the driveway, that's your property, you can do as you please there. Then this one is on the city lots, and if the city commission, which you have part of sitting up here, but 3 out of 5, the city commission says, yeah, that's something that if we can do it, we'd like to figure out how to do it within the sign code, then it's my job to figure out if it is just completely prohibited, no way to do it, therefore we need to give a variance or some sort of special exception, which I'm just for your edification, like that's usually not a good idea. Simply because if we start making exceptions, then the next person's going to want the same exception, that. But the sign ordinance that we have is pretty, like I say, pretty big, and the lawyers are, to me, I have a hard time believing there's not a way to make it work within the sign ordinance. But that's, if the commission says, hey, that's something we want to try to make work, I'll take a look at it ahead of time, at least be able to discuss it and see if we can do something. But if my research says, no, there's flat out no way to do it under the sign ordinance, I'll tell them that, I'll tell you that. If there is a way to do it, I'll be my job to explain how and to make sure you.
Okay, that sounds very reasonable. And either way, I'm going to proceed with, getting some signage made. I just like the ideal location if I can get it. So
Understood.
Anyway, and I think it would just give more visibility for this community to be able to see where that old house is.
Yep.
All right, well, thanks.
Okay, thank you, and your drawing is not bad. No, it's not bad at all. Thank you.
Mayor, I have one.
Okay.
I just have one comment on that. I think it was this board that stipulated that when they purchased that property, that they keep some sort of commercial aspect. And I think the owners are moving forward with doing that. So I guess my feeling would be the city ought to also, if we can do it within the code and whatever, we ought to support that request. It's a good faith thing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty, thank you, Ms. Murray. And now we'll move on to item 2, request for nonprofit organizational special events grant by Ms. Mary Lawhon for the July 22nd Seaporters Youth Fishing Tournament. Discussion of possible action. Ms. Lawhon. Hello. Hello. You just used these for a while. I don't believe that's on.
Now, is it? Yeah. I said it's been a while since I've been here. Some of you gentlemen I don't know, but I do know Al, and I know Ms. Brenda, and the staff, and attorney. Thank you for the opportunity for me to come and present our Children's Youth Fishing Tournament that we have every year. This is our 13th year. Staff has kids that have fished it since they were babies, and some of them are actually outgrown it. Once you can fish when you're 16, but that's it. This is a free tournament. that Sea Quarters puts on every year on behalf of the kids. I brought a T-shirt for some of you that have not seen it. Is look at it. We give a T-shirt, and on the back side are the sponsors that have given us the money. And this was last year's. Our biggest sponsor is Fish Florida Tag.
Will you show
If you had a chance to
show that T-shirt to the video,
Okay.
and the front side too, so that they
Front
can.
side,
I like the
Yeah.
color.
we'll probably keep it this year. I don't know if we're gonna put the orange on it though. This is the back side. We went from red to blue.
Okay.
We didn't do any orange yet.
We get our biggest sponsor is Fish Florida Tags, and if you had a chance to look at our budget, you will see they are the biggest in-kind contribution company. That is done when you buy a tag in the state of Florida, a Fish Florida tag. They set up funds, scholarships for children's tournaments that have been held for a period of time and have a record of success. They have never denied us. We've been graciously appreciative for what they send to us. I was shocked this year when I actually done the budget. Believe it or not, they have never done a budget. They just went on faith and did it. So when I met with Courtney about the city's contribution, she said, well, you got to do the CRA grant application. So I did it. I did not realize that it cost as much money as it costs, because so much stuff is donated and has been in the past. In the past, we've guaranteed the first 125 participants a shirt, a rod and reel, and a visor, and of course we give trophies out, and we feed them after the tournament's over with. This year, Fish Florida sent us 275 rod and reels. We have probably 25 left over from last year. We have not advertised this at all, and there's already 57 kids signed up. I mean, that has been this week, 57. I got 2 calls today from out of town, one from Camilla, Georgia, and one from Atlanta, Georgia, saying that they are planning to be here, that they have either had relatives that lived in Carrabelle in the past, they know about Carrabelle, they want their kids to have the opportunity to see Carrabelle and to participate in the tournament, and hopefully one day maybe they'll move here and help pay taxes. That would be a great thing. But this is just something that, like I said, was started many years ago, and I'm getting so old. My brother-in-law told me the other day, you need to quit doing this, and I said, I can't. There's no, as of right now, I don't know anybody who's going to pick it up. And the kids enjoy it so very, very much. And the majority of the merchants here in town give us donations. I've had $200 donations already sent in from people from Tallahassee, from merchants and that want to just be part of this because they think it's a great thing to teach etiquette to our kids about fishing. And hopefully if they do move away, they want to come back and just fish and help our economy on weekends and that type of thing. And we appreciate your consideration. I told Courtney the budget is based on 275 kids this year. Last year we had, I believe, if I put it in here or not, 225 last year. So, I mean, it's grown substantially in the past 4 or 5 years. And this is an extension of our Kingfish tournament that we hold in August. It's a benefit for leukemia. We're just trying to train up some young fishermen, so maybe they'll be involved in that and help us raise money for leukemia. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I think it's a great program. I was there when we had the first one, when it was over at that other building that got where the condos are now.
Yeah, I remember.
And
That's before I got involved. That was
I had a
few years back.
young boy that came down from North Georgia that
Well,
he's still fishing.
my granddaughter is going to be 26 years old in October. She fished it until she got old enough to fish it. and she came back and became a captain, a deckhand on her granddaddy's boat, and she still comes. Now she has a 2-year-old, and she's bringing her to fish it this year. So that's the kind of repeat that we want. I have nephews in South Florida that try to come every year. They're now too old to fish it, but they love to come and help weigh the fish, just participate with the kids, and it's just a good influence on our kids here.
And I too have attended many of those events.
Yeah, seen
And
you
I
there.
didn't realize that they were receiving free rods and reels until I saw your budget.
Yes.
Didn't see that. Of course, that's donated, and that's very kind, especially for the youngsters in this area.
Well, that also requires a grant application that we have to write every year,
Uh-huh.
and it gets reviewed every year. But like I
Who
said,
do you
they,
get that?
for Fish Florida Tag,
Oh, okay, Fish Florida Tag.
yes, they require, and then they require a follow-up.
Uh-huh.
We have to do a report. They send us banners, we have to send their banners back. And every year, we have to reapply. It's not an ongoing thing. And if you have opportunity to go to Seacor's website, there is, on the left-hand side on the front page, you can click it. We had a guy come from Panama City 2 years ago, and it happened to be raining that Saturday, but he went around and interviewed the different kids fishing, and you'll see how much they enjoy it. And we left it posted there.
How many youngsters do you think you can handle? You've got 275 now, but you go up to 500?
We could, but we would not have enough shirts.
You have to have more money.
Yeah, we'd have to have more money, like I said.
All right, so they're requesting the almost the maximum amount for their budget, and $1,918.25. So do we have a motion regarding that?
We do that.
Okay, so
That amount.
we have a motion by Commissioner Allen. Do we have a second?
Second it.
Oh, second by Mr. Powers. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion is carried.
Thank you very much, and I invite all of y'all to please come and attend. You don't have to come down till about 3 o'clock on that Saturday afternoon. That's a closeout for the tournament. And come, and if I don't see you, please walk up to me and tell me who you are, and I'd love to introduce you to the crowd, because we have a lot of parents there, and they need to realize what their city and their city taxes has done to help this tournament. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Have a good time. Okay.
I've seen fish caught in that tournament that I didn't know we had that stuff in the bay.
Did you see the big one the kids caught?
Well,
Last
big, little, and something I've never seen before. Some weird fish.
One quick thing. 2 little boys were fishing. Now, these rod and reels are like $15, $16 rod and reels that you can buy off a dock. They caught a drum. It was so big that they couldn't get it up, so the boy jumped in the river and brought it up there. We got pictures of it. He was carrying it like a baby. It weighed nearly 20 pounds.
Oh, they love it.
Okay then. Thank you. All right, and we have old business. There is no old business today. So we'll move on to Anovia Consulting Group projects. And Southeast FUC, today we'll review the bid proposals and award the contract, and discussion and action is recommended.
Right, thank you. You should have this in your package, which is our summary of the bids and recommendation of award. Low bidder was Capital Asphalt Inc. With a base bid of $64,000, and the additive alternate, which is the work considered in the Triangle area, at $26,000 for a total of $91,320.75. So, at the pleasure of the board, we would ask for your recommendation for the base bid and consideration of the additive alternate.
Okay, so just to make it clear now, the added alternate, I probably have the wrong, not floor plan, but proposed, let me see if I've got another one in here. That is doing the gravel there. next to the asphalt in the parking area.
Yes,
That is,
that's correct.
and do the plants, all the
Planting,
plantings.
that's right.
Okay. So, do y'all have any questions for Mr. Large on this project? What do y'all think? Would you want to do the entire project as we discussed, and developing the interior of those 3 lots there? No, that's a change. We'll.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I should explain it. I think there's really 2 items with this agenda item. The first being the award of the bid and/or the additive alternate, and the second, there was some additional work that was identified, and whoever the contractor is, we would ask for a change order for that additional work, and that's the exhibit shown on the last page. Is the parallel parking on the north side of Avenue C there. But
So-
that would be work done by change order.
And we would have to, and that was kind of something that I thought about after the fact, and that would have to be, we would have to motion on the, this first bid here that we have, whether or not we want to do the base project and then the added part, the added alternative, and then we can discuss the change order and discuss whether or not we want to do that. The change order had somewhere between 10 and 15 on it. We know we did something similar to this on the right-of-way across from the express lane. They're just below the First Baptist Church, and that was about $10,000, that asphalt there on that right-of-way. So, I'm just giving you a heads up on that, but I think we should go ahead and decide what we want to do on this main project that we put out to bid here.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead with the base bid amount and the bid alternate amount with the capital estimate.
Okay, so we have a motion from Mr. Powers to award capital to do the entire project, the base and the alternative at $91,320.75. So that's the motion by Mr. Powers. We have a second. Okay, so we have a second by Commissioner Walden. Do we have any discussion?
The only question I have, I guess, is to Russell. I'm just making the assumption that all these people that bid on the companies are qualified. That they're.
Yes, yes, they are.
No issue about that.
Yeah, no issue about that at all. That's correct. And I'm familiar with Capital Asphalt, and in fact, all of theirs.
Just out of curiosity, the difference between the Roberts bid and the Capital Asphalt bid is so, do you have a 2-sentence observation as to why that?
We see a number of bids with differences similar to that. I wouldn't say it's alarming. If the low bid was significantly lower than the others, I would question it. But I think that's in the range of being reasonable.
Well, the other 3 are closest. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
They drive further and different. All the specs are the same.
Sometimes it has to do with mobilization. I know another one we're going to be discussing earlier, the mobilization was out of this world.
Right.
So, why? I don't know. I don't understand it. So, that sometimes.
Yeah, That's true. A lot of times the cost of hauling material back and forth, if they're coming from the city or Tallahassee, can be high with diesel fuel.
All right, then, is there any more discussions or questions to Mr. Large? Any questions for Mr. Large? And this project is to pave Southeast Avenue C in its entirety and to mill and pave. Oh, I need to turn off my phone now. I'm so sorry.
Design the little corner there.
Yeah, do the corner, the parking lot. Well, it's not going to be a parking lot, but to put off-street parking on the north side, south side of Southeast Avenue C, 11 or so spaces for the handicap. And then gravel this in, some plantings here, plantings around the power utility pole and all of its accessory structures. And then to grade this southeast First Street here behind the Georgian Motel and put milled asphalt there because we're afraid to do hard asphalt for fear of people flood those folks in that area when it wanted it to be permanent. So,
Most of that asphalt will be recycled.
yes, or they're going to mill here, and this mill will stay in the city as well, right?
Yes,
Is that
they
part of
will.
the contract?
Yes.
Okay. So we'll have mill and we'll use it wherever.
All of that, you see,
Yes.
Marine Street back to the park.
If it's awarded today, is there an estimated completion date?
We'll rely on the contractor to provide that to us. There is a time frame provided in the bid documents already. I'm sorry, I don't remember what that is.
Like months, years, centuries?
I'm pretty sure it's 3 months or
3
less.
months or less. Okay.
And they will notify the city administrator when they mobilize.
Yes, they will.
We want that. All right, then, is there any more discussion on this motion by Mr. Powers, second by Commissioner Walden? Any more discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And Ms. Keisha, that's for the capital asphalt award. Okay, then we'll just talk about the proposed change order for off-street parking on the north side of Southeast Avenue C as shown in their conceptual. I thought of it later, and I was really thinking that the entire right-of-way on the north side of Southeast Avenue C would be have asphalt. It's unruly, it's unkempt over there, that we could have maybe 3, you can show 3, but maybe 4, I thought, parallel parking spaces over there. So we may need it, whatever's going to happen on the Sonoma property, we're going to need more parking eventually if something really happens there. But I mentioned to Mr. Large earlier, he's showing, at first they had one that just showed asphalt and it was still sand around this area, but if you're down on First Street, down on the side there, behind the Georgian, all that sand washes down. It's a big sand mess there. And I mentioned that to Miss Molly, and so now they've come back and put gravel around it, and Mr. Large says that the entire area can't have asphalt because we have to have stormwater management. But I don't know personally if I like all of that gravel. It would have to be, or sand, either one, because you're not really eliminating the sand issue if you leave all that sand there on the first one. And then the gravel, you'll have gravel all out in the street. Folks will drive up on there and park on the gravel, no doubt. And then the gravel will have to be replenished, and you're going to have to weed eat the gravel, so that will be more landscaping. I don't know, you have another idea.
It would be, well, it would be nice if grass would grow there,
Yeah.
but we really would have to water it. Maybe some ornamental grasses that can withstand the arid conditions here may work. But there again, that would be a landscape area that would have to be maintained.
Not enough depth for a diagonal.
No, there's just not. And to asphalt the whole area would trip us into the beyond the threshold of requiring a permit and stormwater facility. And that, not necessarily practical for what we gain. And that's just my opinion.
Did you gain one more parking space? Can you gain two?
Just shooting from the hip here, it appears we can at least fit another. I want to make sure that fourth one doesn't also trip the threshold. But if we can fit a fourth one in there, we'll certainly try to do that.
Is that something we need to change order?
That would be a change order, but
In this meeting?
we have, we have money, but whatever money is left over from this project is going to have to, if we do another project that we're going to be discussing, is going to have to go to that project. So,
Parking spaces is preferable to just a lot of gravel.
yeah, but you can't put much asphalt, much more
No,
asphalt.
but if we can get three without tripping on the tripwire and blowing up to requirements. That's
Would y'all want to, I don't know what to do, I can sit here brain out again. We need parking places. What do you think, Commissioner?
Like you,
No, I mean,
Well, just here's an idea maybe, we've got some landscape that is to be installed across the street here. Maybe instead of the crushed lime rock and shell, maybe we can supplement that area with additional landscape material, also by change order, and that would help stabilize that area or at least make it look better than sand.
oh, well, that's an idea now. Here, you're putting muley grass, I believe it is, that doesn't really need a lot of water or attention. If you could get one more parking space, that would eliminate some muley grass. What do you all think?
get it in there.
Yeah. So,
They got boats parked all over the building.
I know.
That fishing tournament.
It's a long parallel parking, it will be come over on weekends.
All right, so we need to move along here. What do y'all, I mean, don't feel obligated.
Is the cost estimate, due to all the cost estimate, is that fairly,
I think that is reasonable, yeah. I think that's
that was
10 to 15.
I'd like to see that.
So, I mean, whatever, it's just an idea there, and while they're out there doing it, it's less expensive because they don't have to mobilize. I know that part. I'm just saying.
That's true. How about this? We'll prepare an exhibit that adds a fourth space if it does not trip the threshold, and we will supplement that area with muley grass. And after the contractor is under contract, we'll ask him to provide us with a price. We'll bring all that to the next meeting for your consideration.
Great.
Okay. So, can we make a motion on that then, and let that happen?
Make a motion to what Mr. Lyer said.
Okay.
Work it out.
All right. So we have a motion by Mr. Powers for Mr. Large to prepare an exhibit with a fourth space. Hopefully it won't trip the stormwater management issue. with some muley grass for landscaping on each end, and we'll get the contractor to provide a price. Do we have a second on that? Okay, so we have a second by Commissioner Walden, and is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then that motion carries, and this will be on the next agenda. This one portion here. And then also you can tell us when the folks are going to be working. Okay, thank you so much. And then let's see, on the next CDBG.
Yes, this is the Avenue B project. We spoke about this at the last meeting, and right now the letting date is scheduled for September. We did talk about a public information meeting being held in mid-August, and I was going to suggest the date of August the 8th, which is a Tuesday, and then we would prepare mailings that would go out to property owners within 500 feet of the project. And those mailings would be sent out 13 July. Then I would also recommend that we have an ad placed with the timers. For the format of the meeting, I would suggest that we hold it from 5 o'clock until 7 o'clock, and anyone can come anytime between those hours, and we'll have myself and other members of our staff available. We'll have a board showing the project. If they have questions about it, we can show them where their property is located in relation to the project. So no formal presentation, but we'll be here to have one-on-one discussions with property owners as they come in, and we'll take notes. We'll also have a comment box form so they can write down their comments, put it in the box, we'll assemble those, and bring it back to you for your consideration prior to construction.
And then getting close, I'm sorry.
8 August.
And so this would not be a formal meeting?
Right.
Right, not a formal meeting?
It'd be the 8th.
Yes,
And the
August
the
8th.
board members do not necessarily need to attend?
Not necessarily. Certainly not.
You have a price on that?
No, I don't.
But I know that
I
would be
will.
part of the grant funding, is that correct? That's part of the project? No.
I don't believe it is.
Oh. Now,
I don't.
we have money that we were going to transfer. Would that qualify, Ms. Courtney?
I'd have to ask Mr. Beck.
I can prepare a memo to you, Courtney, about what, I think it's a nominal, I think it would be a nominal
I've
cost.
got our budget in here. So let me take it. I will do. Well, we could handle it if we can stay out of the consulting fees until the next budget year. Probably take what we have left in consulting fees. It's probably something that needs to be done. It's a major project. It's over $1 million project. Like $1.20 million. It's going to be a big project. I think it would be worth the investment, and they would be be on the front lines, Zenobia USA would answer. 500 radius is a good distance to take in business owners and residences alike, and all their questions would be answered. They wouldn't have to go on street talk.
Put it on the radio.
Yeah, but I did it as a public service announcement. So if y'all would like to do it, I think we need a motion to do that.
I'll make a motion. We have a public meeting on August 8th, set the date on July 13th, to explain CDBG grant process.
Okay, then we have
I couldn't hear a word he just said.
I'm sorry, I said I do make a motion that we have the mailer for the CDB project on July 13th to residents within 600 feet, 500 feet of the area, and a public meeting, information meeting on August 8th from 5 to 7 p.m. Staffed by the dance team.
What
Song
was
and
the
dance.
date of the mailer?
The 13th.
July 13th.
Would we like to do an advertisement in the newspaper?
Yes, be good to put it in the newspaper and try to get a radio public service spots. One, it's good for the CRA, and two, it's good for the residents to know what's going on in advance and have a chance to. Because I'm sure this is not well known. That'd be my guess.
All right, so we have a second then, a motion by Mr. May regarding this workshop of sorts. Okay, so we have a second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any more discussion? More discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and then that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Large. All right, then we'll move forward to environmental consulting technology projects. And number one on that is the Marine Street parking lot. We need to now once again review some bid proposals and award a contract. Discussion and action is recommended.
We received 2 bids on May 30th. One bid was from North Florida Asphalt, the second bid was from Dixie Paving. North Florida Asphalt came in at $279,550, and Dixie Paving was $310,944.03. They are a little higher than what we had estimated, and according to both bidders, it was the pervious concrete. When I'm trying to get prices for pervious concrete, and looking through their bids, the Dixie Pavings was even a little higher than North Florida Asphalt. But both bidders, submitted everything with their bids. Nothing was missing from either bid.
All right, so you all see this and you see the big difference in the mobilization. Did you all see that? One mobilization was right at 22,000 and the other mobilization is 14,500. So that's a big difference right there that you're looking at. A fair amount of money to do this project. Parking lot is very expensive. It's gotten very expensive. I know it was a vision of Waterfront Partnership to have a parking lot there, and the boat ramp was built without making provisions for a parking lot. It's like we're kind of left with, the responsibility and it's expensive. Now if we move forward with the North Florida asphalt, that's the least expensive, we'll still be short $69,700. No, we'll be short actually $114,700, right at $115,000. There's money remaining from the Southeast Avenue C project, somewhere around 40 or 45 if they end up doing the change order that we talked about, 50 applied to this project. And I reviewed, I had Miranda print out a year-to-date budget, year-to-date of what we spent on the CRA, and, you know, we would have to really cut everything. We're gonna have to cut everything to pay for this. We'll, Keisha recommended we don't reallocate right this minute because the final budget is gonna have to be done before the October 1st fiscal year comes, and we'll make all of the changes at that time. But between now and then, we're gonna have to just not spend. We can review it now, or I'm sure Keisha can go over and review it with you, but to come up with that extra, you know, if we do this, to come up with extra money, we're gonna have to be frugal between now and the rest of the year.
Is there a time we can do that? Those changes, those reallocations?
Well, I've asked, I'm going to ask towards the end here to schedule a budget workshop in July so we can, you know, kind of get a handle on it. We've got a lot of meetings coming up towards the end of the fiscal year. Just don't let them all pile up on us at once. So that would be a time when you can review it, or you can review it with Keisha, or we can take time now and take a look at it. But, I mean, right here, if you just want to look at my quick worksheet, but this would tell you, that shows you all of the items that you're going to have to just, so can he look at my worksheet? Is that all right, Mr. Hartman? You can pass that around if you want, but I'd like to have it back. So what do you all think?
Well, it's basically taking everything out but utilities and,
Yeah,
you know,
utilities.
no more projects, no more facade grants. Everything needs to kind of stop a little bit.
If you would get us, let us look at it again, you know, over the month, we can, you know, report back to you. And at that point, when we were going over this, I didn't know if you all were going to want $50,000, $60,000 to bid on Sonoma property, or, you know, or what. So,
So you're saying we postpone the decision on this till next week?
I don't think we should postpone the decision on this necessarily. I'm just telling you that if we do make a decision to move forward on this project, that we need to be frugal on our spending.
Yeah.
You need to review it with Keisha, or when we have our budget workshop, if we approve one for July, we'll go over it with fine-tooth comb. But right now, it needs $115,000 needs to be reallocated to manage this project.
You think that there is this amount to reallocate?
It's,
In the year.
yeah, we have to, we don't, we cut back on, like, Ms. Keisha just mentioned, facade grants. And then that's what the budget talks, but all of these items, now these items will need to be kept, but this other here is where you see I'm taking the money, right here on these line items.
I do agree with Brenda that this wasn't a problem that we created to make this parking lot. It was a problem that was not solved prior to this time to build a boat ramp and no parking facilities. I think, so I feel like we need to complete the project and not push it down the road the way we picked it up, having to push down the road. My other thought is that this definitely should become a income producing parking lot. And that, however we decide to work that out, that it needs to follow up to we charge a fee for parking, using the parking lot and or the boat ramp and or both. Is there, we got rid of all the ways to make it more, less expensive,
That's what
and
we had
or we
looked at.
made it.
We double checked everything, and with the design, we didn't necessarily want to go and ask North Florida Asphalt to any questions because otherwise we'd have to ask both. So if there is questions we need to ask them, we kind of wanted to just see what your decision was based on the bids we have now, because I don't know where they're getting their concrete from. I don't know if they did just choose the most local, if that's why it is also higher, but without having to ask both and having to have them resubmit bids and delay us more, which, we could still do that. We just have to go back and we have to ask both bidders some questions.
But they're like $31,000 difference, I don't.
Yeah, I think they're only about $2 a yard for the concrete, which is like $2 or $3.
So then if it's awarded, can we recommend that they use the local cement plant or no? They've got to use where they've made their,
They can probably check to see, it was in the request that they try to use local. So, we didn't say they had to do it, but they needed to try to use local if they could. So we can ask them whenever it's awarded, we can ask them where they're getting it from.
they may have made a negotiation already. And I noticed in there somewhere they talk about gravel, the gravel layer has to go under the cement that makes the reservoir that holds the water that goes. And that gravel layer has to be washed of all of its, I can't think what they call it.
Like the fines.
The fines, yes. So the sand, everything has to be clean gravel that they put under that layer of concrete.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and award the contract to the low bidder.
North Florida Asphalt?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Powers to award the contract to North Florida Asphalt. And a second by Commissioner Allen. Is there any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Okay. We'll move on to your next item, the Marine Street Pavilion and Waterfront Fishing Pier Improvement Project. And we just want to have a report on the conservation grant documentation and the final assignment. How about the 30-year title research and the submission of all checklists, discussion of possible action and any changes.
Courtney got the fully executed agreement back on June 6th. So that will start your clock for getting our task one deliverable, which is the documentation checklist. We have 180 days. I think initially we had said October 28th, which we actually have 30 days from that, but I'd like to keep the earlier date just so in case we run into any issues put everything together. We did get the 30-year title, so we have that now. So now we'll be filling out the rest of the documents, which will be getting a professional site plan. We already have the boundary survey, and then we have to put together a cost analysis. So we'll be putting together a list of priorities and getting bids from contractors to see how much it's going to be. And we've got those in order of primary projects and then secondary projects. The primary, this is based on what the grant had requested. Primary projects are the redecking of the Coast Guard dock and also the fishing pier, and also anything associated with the pavilion if we want to do the re-roofing on that as well. And then we have the secondary element, which is the support element we have in there, which is upgrading any lighting on the pavilion and the former Coast Guard dock, any new picnic tables, and then updating the restroom. And then, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead and put together a list to get contractors that have normally maybe worked along the Marine Street doing the other docks, the boardwalk that was done, having it cost estimates, and then we'll put together all the cost estimates. And that's all part of the first deliverable that's due by the end of October. So that way we'll have prices for everything and a list of items that's going to be done. And then we'll have, once that gets submitted and they approve it, you have 3 years to get everything finished.
Do you all have any questions for Miss Susan? Okay. I would like to say that this project needed to be done 2 years ago, and I don't really want it to hold out another 3 years. The decks are in bad condition, bad, unsafe condition. The fishing pier off the pavilion is about to fall off. The master there is about to fall off, and it really needs to be, whatever we can do to speed this along. I think we need to do that.
It's fine. I'll get with Courtney to some of the contractors that the city is using. We can go ahead and start getting quotes for them.
Okay.
And I think, we've chosen the restroom at one time also to add in it because that is on land. I know there was a discussion at one time because of the docks went out over the water. So that's one reason why the restroom was included in there. So, and we can kind of do this in stages also. Not everything we do have 3 years to complete everything. So we could kind of pick what would be the most important to get done as well.
All right, and I just will mention to you all, trying to see what we have budgeted for that. We have 45 and 50. We have 95, and then the grant is 95. For what I've just seen, we'll probably need to keep in mind on the budget for next year, we'll probably have to up those 2 items somewhat, because it seems like the longer we wait on these projects, the more expensive they get. So, and our engineering fees, every time we change something, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, but every time we make a change, that costs us an engineering fee. So we need to get a handle on ourselves. I don't think motion is in order at this point. Okay. All right. We thank you very much, Ms. Susan, for coming out in the rain, and Mr. Large, and Mr. Schuler. Talk to you. All right. So our CRA board projects. And just to try to review here right quick, we've got a meeting scheduled for 3 o'clock, but it'll be a couple of minutes late. Had this on the past couple of agendas, talking about projects selection and prioritizing for fiscal year 2017-18. I've had requested that Ms. Keisha have for our budget workshop, when we do have it, to give us an idea of what our revenues will be next year, including funding that still needs to be paid back from the city. There's still a small remainder. This may be the last year of it, or maybe 2 more years. There's not much left on it. But I had mentioned about the small brick building that may belongs to a private owner. So we just need to find out who that belongs to. And Ms. Murray's working on that now. Sorry. You didn't know you would possibly inherit that building. That's what happened. But we're glad it belongs to someone. And then I mentioned facade repairs to the Coast Guard dock, but that possibly can happen in the this dock and pier upgrade that we're going to do. I mentioned additional leveraging to the Northwest Avenue B project. We'll just have to see. We've got $1,020,000 on that project now. Welcome Park needs some bushes in it. I don't know what happened, y'all may have noticed last summer. A lot of the bushes just died. I don't know if they got sprayed with Roundup or Duke Energy hit them or what happened, but it's in a disarray. And by the way, I got an email today about the Big Benzine 5-way kiosk. I forgot about that until now. They had their meeting yesterday, and it looks like that they're not going to be able to fund those kiosks. I will follow up on that with the president of the Big Bend Singing Byway, but I know we paid money, I don't know how much. It actually happened before I came on board, 6 years ago. Can you remember what the city?
I want to say it was about 17,000.
17. You are kidding me. And we're not the only ones.
And that was for
2.
So we put one at the White House, two at the White House, big for the.
Yeah. I'll find out and report back, but they're not going to be able to fund that project. I don't know where the money, but something we'll have to give. And I know all the other folks will be upset. So look, we've got a big square in Welcome Park that's supposed to have a big fencing byway kiosk. Maybe we'll make that a, what? I don't know. Phone booth?
What you said.
Okay.
It's not dead yet, guys.
Oh my
She'll
God.
come around.
All right.
Did we want to set a date for the budget workshop? Is that something?
Yeah, but we, I don't know either. But we're not going to, evidently, we're not going to look at the Sonoma property. We want to, we discussed doing some changes, and Mr. Russell Large had some input last time, some changes on the post office ingress egress. And I want y'all to kind of, this would be some type of a major thing. I don't have any, not that major, I don't know what it would cost, but you all got the information last go round. It was recommended by the FDOT safety engineers, and I see Bo has a picture there now that he's brought with him, but that could be a project that we could do.
Could I pass this along to Mr. Morris?
Beg your pardon?
Could I pass this along to Russell?
Yes. So do you all have any suggestions for projects next year? All right then. Item 2 would be to schedule a date for a budget workshop in July.
CRA meeting is on the 20th.
I have the 18th. How would that be, Keisha? To do it on the day of the CRA meeting? Beautiful. She said beautiful. That's up to y'all. That's up to y'all. You want to do it before or after?
Before, like, before lunch, could we do one at like 11, 12, and then come back at 1:30?
11 o'clock? Okay, so July 18th.
An hour?
We'll probably go 11 to 12:30, and then take an hour for lunch. Okay.
That's July 18th at 11:30.
11 a.m.
11.
All right, so y'all, may we have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion to meeting on July 18th at 11 o'clock.
That motion is by Rob Powers, second by Commissioner Allen, July 18th, 11 a.m., budget workshop. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, thank you so much. Are there any other items the CRA board members would like to bring forward?
We discussed briefly redoing some of this information to be more potential entrepreneur oriented stuff. And Courtney sent me some material. I've pulled out all the material I have. I'm willing to review and come up with an idea that I'll present for next year, I guess. Just want you to know that I have
All right.
material. And I'm still interested.
All right, just let us know when you want an item on the agenda, we'll schedule a time for it. Is that all right? Did you hear that, Mr. Poe?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Any more items about the CRA board members? Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Make the motion to adjourn.
Second, please.
Second.
Okay. That motion is by Rob Powell, second by Mr. May. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. Let's take, I know the meeting starts scheduled for 3, but we've been in here since 1:30, and we might need to take a 5-minute break.